This video is sponsored by Alcid eHomes, whose mission it is to accelerate the advent of sustainable, healthy living systems around the world. Hi, welcome to Best in Tesla. So I have made a 3-week road trip around Europe this summer with my wife and my 2 young boys. I have just made a video about the charging experience, so if you haven't seen that one, you should probably check that one out first. But to make it very short, the EV charging in Europe is not good enough, but if you drive a Tesla, there is no problem. The Tesla charging network in Europe is awesome. There are just plenty of Tesla chargers. It has simply just been a joy driving a Tesla around in Europe. I have done a road trip before in Europe in a nice car, but the whole experience combined, I must say, nothing beats a Tesla as a road trip car. Lars, now you're just getting carried away, you're a Tesla fanboy. But no, I really mean this. Let me explain why and let's dive right in. So why is the Tesla the ultimate road trip car? Well, firstly, as an EV, it can go longer than I want to do before it needs a break. And as I talked about in my video about charging in Europe, there are just so many charging stations with plenty of chargers that are all fast chargers, 150 kilowatt or more, and they always work. So as an EV, the range anxiety does not exist and charging is no problem. Actually, one of the biggest benefits of having an EV in my daily life when you live in a house is that every morning I wake up and my car is charged and the temperature is set and the car is just ready to go. I never have to go to a charging station in my daily life, but this great benefit is actually also something you experience on a road trip, because many hotels around Europe do have destination chargers. We didn't even plan for it or try to find hotels with chargers, but 5 out of 8 hotels we stayed at all had free destination chargers. So 5 out of 10 times when we had to go from one destination to the other, the car was at 100% and ready to go from the hotel we stayed at, and it was free. How awesome is that? You can never do that with your ICE car, right? And with the Tesla, if you use the referral codes, you will also get some free mileage. So if you are wondering how much I used on charging on these 4,300 kilometers road trip, I used $0. I have many free supercharger miles from referrals, so even when we didn't charge for free at the hotels, it was still free for us at the Tesla superchargers. And usually the parking spots at the hotels are also in the very front of the hotel, so you even get better parking spaces than all the ICE cars, even better than some handicap spaces. And even Airbnb has just made a filter on their search engines to search for places to stay that has an EV charger. And here in Berlin, for example, there are over 120 places with EV chargers, and that is only Airbnb, not any hotels. And I already know quite a few hotels that already have EV chargers. I have even stayed at one before. So you can easily make a road trip around Europe where you can make sure that everywhere you stay they will have an EV charger. So that is just very cool and make it very convenient to have an EV on a road trip with this kind of Tesla charging network and being able to charge at the hotel. But another thing that makes the Tesla a good road trip car is of course the full self-driving software. Because I like to drive, and when we are down in the mountains driving in the fun small mountain roads, well, the car does not get to drive because I want to, but most of the driving is of course done on highways and big well-marked main roads, and driving for hours and hours on a highway can be really tough. But when all you have to do is just keep an eye on the car that does all the driving and all the little adjustments all the time, makes it very relaxing and enjoyable to drive for many hours. And the Tesla already today makes very few mistakes when it's driving on the highway, so it's also a big reason why the 1,200 kilometers driving back home was quite easy to do, because I didn't do much driving. The car did. I just kept an eye on it while I was enjoying my cup of coffee. And even better, when we are in stop-and-go traffic, I feel just so much safer when the car is doing the driving than myself, because I do get distracted, especially when we are hardly moving, and then the car suddenly stops in front of you, and you only have to be distracted for a fraction of a second at the wrong time, and you will be in an accident. And it is also very stressful driving in such heavy traffic. But with the autopilot, it is absolutely nothing. We just sit back and listen to some music and enjoy the coffee and just wait for the traffic jam to be over. I cannot emphasize enough how nice it is being on a road trip when you only have to do the fun driving in the mountains and the car will do all the boring stuff. And I have never before enjoyed the scenery as much as I did in my Tesla, because when the car is driving itself, you can actually look out and enjoy the very nice scenery you are driving through. That was simply just amazing. I have never seen so much nice nature and mountain views before when I was driving in my old ice car. That just makes the road trip so enjoyable, stress-free and fun, because that is one of the big things of having a Tesla, the feeling of having endless power under your feet. Not like I have experienced before in an ice car that is screaming up the mountain roads, making a lot of noise, blowing out toxic gases in the beautiful nature, and you have to find the right gear and everything. But with a Tesla, you don't have to worry about finding the right gear and not having enough power to get up a steep hill or a mountain. All you have to do is enjoy yourself with the great handling and very powerful and quiet car. It was simply the best car I have ever driven in the mountain. I was just one big smile because it was simply just a joy and fun experience driving a Tesla in the mountains. And one more thing that just makes the Tesla a perfect mountain car: not only does it have all the power in the world to go up the mountain, but when you go down again, you can put some more juice back in the battery. That is something you can never do with an ice car. It will never suddenly get more gas in the tank because you're going down a mountain, but it makes the car go quite far in the mountains. Like when we were leaving St. Anton in Austria, it was mostly downhill, so my watt-hour per kilometer was the best I have ever seen. 78 watt-hour per kilometer. Nice. And another great thing I have never used before, because I feel quite safe here in Denmark, but when you are out in other countries you don't know, the pin to drive was a very nice little touch. So you have Sentry mode. That is just an awesome safety feature, but also knowing that no one can steal your key card and take the car, because they also need to know the pin first. That is just awesome. And also the pin for the glove box was used on this road trip, because that was where we kept our passport and cash, so just making you feel very safe that no one can open the glove box without your pin code. Awesome safety features I have never used before at home, but just make a big difference on a road trip. And the big one is of course the navigation system. This is simply the best navigation software on the planet in any car. Google Maps right there at your fingertips. So even when you were driving by something, you saw it on the map, you can just press it like in Google Maps, see what it is, and even open their website right there in your car, reading about it. That is just so cool. But more importantly, of course, it showed us the best way with live Google Map traffic in the system, and it shows you when you have to stop for charging and for how long, and you can of course just take another charging point on the road if you don't like the one the car has chosen, like we usually do, because we don't want to drive as many hours at a time as the car wants to. But just having all these charges being shown on your map in the car just makes it the easiest thing in the world. And then you see some of the navigations in some of the new cars from the legacy automakers that just look like, you know, a TomTom's navigation system from 1998. How they get away with putting so outdated navigation software in their cars here in 2021 is just beyond me. Especially because we have Tesla, which have shown just how awesome a navigation system can be, just up and beyond anything else out there. And that is also why I never feel the range anxiety whatsoever, because the car is always in control and will tell you if the route you're about to take is possible, or if you have to charge, or if you have to stay below a certain speed to get to the destination. So the software in a Tesla is just next level, and a big piece of why it's such a joy driving around in Europe with such a great navigation system. It is just unmatched, and you will not find any ICE car that can do this better than a Tesla. And speaking of great software, it is of course not just a navigation system. The simple fact that when you do a 15-minute break in 32 degrees Celsius, it is just the best thing in the world when you can just push the little button on the climate control that says on, and then you can leave your car and the climate control stays on, and when you get back to your car it's still nice and cool. Or if you have a longer stay and the car is sitting there out in the sun all day, you just turn the climate control on 5 minutes before you get to the car and it is again nice and cool. This is just an awesome feature in your Tesla when you are on a road trip. And we did actually have a little fridge between the back seat and the front seat that was plugged in and always on, so we could have nice cold drinks and snacks while we were driving. We had the fridge on during our stays because it did not take much energy, and the car has a huge battery. It's not like an ICE car where you only have the little 12-watt acid battery. That would have been sucked dry, but with a Tesla it's no problem. And being on the road for many hours, it is just a nice little thing that your car has built-in Spotify. So no matter what you or your children want to hear, the car has it. And lastly, when you're driving many kilometers on the German Autobahn with free speed limits and in the mountains and so on, with your wife and your 2 small children, it is the best thing in the world knowing you're driving the safest car in the world. Yeah, that's a big one. All these things just makes the Tesla the perfect road trip car. So yes, you can do a road trip in an electric car around Europe. If it is a Tesla, you will even have something that is just so much better than any ICE car I have ever tried. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.